We aren't back in class just yet, but more students, parents, and teachers in the Little Rock School District are testing positive for COVID-19. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Melissa Zygowicz. From a statement from the district, 3 schools have been impacted by positive COVID-19 results. 1 employee at Brady Elementary has tested positive, and 7 others are now quarantining. At Mablevale Middle School, a parent has tested positive, and the 3 children who all attend different LRSD schools are now quarantining, and an assistant basketball coach at Parkview has tested positive. So now 18 student athletes on the team and another coach are also isolating. Brady and Parkview are getting deep cleans this weekend. And joining me now is meteorologist Scott Covert. And Scott, we've got something very 2020 going on right now. We have 2 different potential hurricanes headed towards the Gulf Coast. How is this going to impact us here in Arkansas?
That's a great question, Melissa. We are going to see some records broken over the next few days. For the first time in the weather history, we're seeing 2 tropical storms move up into the Gulf of Mexico, both expected to develop into hurricanes before making landfall this week. I'll have more details on that and what we can expect here in Arkansas coming up in just a few minutes. Right now in the natural state, it's pretty dry out there. Temperatures in the low to mid 70s. Tonight they'll continue falling down into the upper 60s for our overnight low temperatures. Tomorrow we're going to warm back up into the low 90s, similar to what we saw today, though a bit warmer under a mostly sunny sky. We are going to see those rain chances really tick up into the second half of next week due to those tropical storms. I'll have all those details coming up.
All right, thanks, Scott. The state medical examiner's office has confirmed the Jackson County woman who went missing Wednesday is Sydney Sutherland. During the search yesterday afternoon, her body was found. On Wednesday, she went out for a run and never came home. The Jackson County Sheriff's Office has also arrested a man on homicide charges. We will keep you updated as more information becomes available. And Little Rock police are investigating a homicide after a man was beaten to death. Police got a call around 1:30 this morning that a man was hitting another man with a stick on 12th Street. When they got there, they discovered 56-year-old Freddie Dorn Jr. lying dead in the middle of a nearby road. Detectives talked to witnesses and believe they know who is responsible for the death, and they're searching for him now. Protesters across the country rallied in front of post offices today, demanding support for mail carriers following cutbacks by the White House. THV 11's Mercedes McKay spoke with some Arkansans in Little Rock who joined the fight.
People from all different organizations here in Little Rock gathered today at the Brady Post Office around 11 a.m. They marched, sent letters to local leaders, but their main reason for being here was defending the essential services the United States Postal Service provides.
I did not fight and sacrifice my good health for this country for it to be like this.
Navy veteran Jennifer Pierce sat on the side of the road chanting and holding her sign for all the disabled veterans who rely on medications through the mail to get them by each day.
One day late is lives. You know, we're not just talking about heart medicine, pain medicine, everything, and it's important.
For Tanya James, the U.S. Postal Service slowdown hits close to home.
I needed the USPS to be working and on time and fully staffed so that this paperwork can get in time so me and my daughter can eat.
Pierce and James were among several Arkansans fighting this same nationwide fight on Saturday. One of the organizers of the hashtag Save the Post Office rally, Lori Evans, says their goal was to show support for what she believes is an American institution that everyone relies on.
We're here to say we support you. Thank you for your service and making sure that Americans get their life-saving medications, their benefits, and their ballots.
Another message, the importance of mail-in voting, and they're asking local leaders to make a change.
We're calling on Governor Hutchinson to please issue an executive order to extend the absentee ballot deadline.
They also sent letters to Congressman French Hill pleading for him to act this week and provide protection for the U.S. Postal Service.
This brings attention to a crucial issue that is bipartisan. Everybody needs their mail. Everyone does.
In Little Rock, Mercedes McKay, THV 11 News.
And the House is in a rare session today to vote on legislation that would provide billions in funding for the Postal Service. This election season is set to see record high mail-in ballots, but comments from President Trump against mail-in voting has raised lots of concern. Michael George has more on the reports of potential service slowdowns.
The bill is passed.
The House passed Postal Service legislation that Democrats say is needed to protect the November election.
It was so angering for Americans across the political spectrum that President Trump and Postmaster General DeJoy openly sabotaged the Postal Service in order to prevent people from casting votes through the mail.
The Democrat-sponsored bill calls for the cash-strapped Postal Service to receive an extra $25 billion in funding. House Republicans slammed the legislation, which would also reverse recent Postal Service changes amid concerns about mail-in voting.
This bill is a sham. It is a shame.
Is this part of some vast conspiracy? No. It's part of a decades-long realignment process where the post office is trying to match the needs of the consumers to the post office infrastructure.
After a barrage of criticism, Postmaster General Louis DeJoy said he would halt cost-cutting moves until after the presidential election.
The Postal Service is fully capable and committed to delivering the nation's election mail securely and on time.
On Friday, he told a Senate committee recent delays will not affect mail-in voting. But DeJoy said he would not restore mailboxes and sorting machines that have been removed. President Trump, a vocal critic of mail-in balloting, is now saying he'll deploy law enforcement to polling places.
It's a suppress the vote tactic, as is the suppressing of the ability of the postal system to deliver on its responsibility.
It's unclear if the president has the authority to bring officers to the polls on Election Day. Michael George, CBS News.
And a movement for justice turns violent here in Arkansas. After a Black Lives Matter banner was hung in Clarksville, several people had something to say about it. One man attempting to get his point across with his fist. Nick Camper from our sister station in Northwest Arkansas shows us how the mayor is stepping in.
Clarksville Mayor David Reeder says the people responsible for putting up the banner did everything they were supposed to do, from getting it pre-approved to physically putting it up over the road. People were lined up yesterday on both sides of the road. Half were in opposition, half were in support of the banner. An altercation ensued and a punch was thrown. 70-year-old Stephen Williams is accused of throwing the punch and was arrested and sent off in the back of a police SUV. The Clarksville mayor wants people to know that all laws were met, both locally and with the state, before flying the banner. He says it would have been illegal to deny it.
Neither the city nor the state had any legal foundation for denial of the permit. A denial would have been a deviation from the prior permitting process, and even a basis of denial for fear of a riot, physical conflict, would have likely resulted in a violation of the 14th Amendment.
Reeder says he's going to call a special city council meeting for Monday night. He says he wants them to review the codes for flying banners and flags in city limits. Covering news where you live, Nick Camper, 5 News.
We have officially reached 56,000 cases of COVID-19 in Arkansas. Today, 547 people tested positive, the slope continuing to decrease. We have almost 6,000 people actively fighting the virus. We are down hospitalizations, 17 to be exact. There are 492 people currently in the hospital. Unfortunately, we have 11 new deaths reported today, making our total 674 people who have died from COVID-19. And health officials in several states are linking new infections to the 10-day motorcycle rally in Sturgis, South Dakota. This as the U.S. death toll today topped 176,000. That's the worst of any country by far. Michael George has more on the outbreaks across the country.
As students move onto campus for fall classes in a pandemic,
I wanted the full experience, which I won't be getting this year, but it is what it is.
The first lesson students may learn this fall, what not to do. This week, alarms rang over crowded, unsanctioned parties at several colleges posted on social media. Notre Dame's student newspaper put it bluntly, don't make us write obituaries. At the University of Virginia, football players have been kept in a bubble. The coach now questioning how he'll keep them safe from returning classmates.
I love the idea of student athlete in that order. And it's very difficult for me to reconcile having football players on grounds and no other students on grounds.
In Tennessee, under Friday night lights, playing smart with masks. But that wasn't the case at this Alabama high school football game. Today, as feared, health officials in 3 states are now reporting new infections linked to the big motorcycle rally in Sturgis, South Dakota. For the first time at tomorrow's Indy 500, known as the greatest spectacle in racing, the stands will be empty.
A little bit different without fans. So, yeah, for me it's going to be the first race with empty grandstand.
The lights of the Great White Way remain dark. Nearly 15 million saw Broadway shows last year. Now thousands are out of work. But the industry still plans to hold a virtual Tony Awards this fall. In New York, Michael George, CBS News.
In the midst of these hard times, today, UALR collected food donations for students who may need help throughout the year. Dozens of people dropped off boxes full of packaged food through a drive-up at the Alumni Center. This will help fill the school's Trojan Food Pantry just before the fall semester starts on Monday. The pantry is located on campus and is available to any student or staff who needs it. The university chancellor says she learned in the last couple of years a lot of students are facing food insecurity issues.
So it's really important for us to maintain this pantry and have this service for our students. So that's one less thing that they have to worry about as they seek their education here at UA Little Rock.
The Trojan Food Pantry is especially in need of staple items like canned chicken, chicken broth, ramen noodles, and cheese. And was giving back to the community today. Word of Truth Christian Fellowship in Lone Oak handed out backpacks full of school supplies this afternoon. They had more than 100 backpacks with items for different age students. The church usually does this back to school haircuts, but with social distancing, the church wanted to help in another way.